Backstage interview next up. There's lots of these, by the way. Sean Mooney this time conducts one with Warlord and Slick, and we also get a backstage interview by Gene Oakland with Davey Boy Smith with his dog Winston. These two promos are, of course, building up to the next match. Any thoughts on the promos, old man?
I have so much appreciation for Slick going back and watching these shows for this podcast. He is so different in his delivery. Warlord's very excited. I can't remember exactly what he's excited about, but I wrote down that he's excited. Bulldog, he's so bad. Winston cuts a more convincing promo than the Bulldog.
I thought this was pretty good for a Davey Boy Smith standard, to be honest. I think he seems quite alert during this promo, which is better than a lot of the stuff he does in the future.
Slick, the way he says devoured at the end, he goes, the British Bulldog Davey Boy Smith will be devoured. It's like, what? And then, but also the interview with Gene and Bulldog and Winston, they're all crouched down to the same level as Winston, which I thought was quite nice. And then later on in the match, he's got a little plinth to sit on ringside,
yes,
which is very nice. So a lot of respect for Winston.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I really hate this period of time for one reason. There's one reason why I dislike this period of time, and that is the use of any of the animals. I just don't like it. I don't want dogs having to walk through a massive crowd where they're going to be probably quite intimidated and scared and goodness knows what else. And I worry as well about that dressing room and just wrestling dressing rooms in general and their treatment of animals. I just can't imagine is any good at all. And even worse, obviously, later on we get the snake. I know Tom hates snakes in general, and I know he hates like even just seeing them. But I also hate the idea of the treatment of the snake. We know, for example, later on in Jake Roberts' life that he did neglect one of his snakes, and they died. And I just feel like I just don't like it. I just wish they wouldn't use them, quite frankly.
No, there's a thing I did think that actually specifically about the snake as well, because it's no secret to either you boys that I'm terrified of snakes, and I recoil at the sight of them, but the way he slings them around in that bag, especially when throw them into the ring, is really quite... I mean, I would like to be in that bag being thrown around like that.
It's just not nice. So then we get Davey Boy Smith versus the Warlord. It goes 8 minutes, and Davey Boy Smith wins with a running power slam. Oh, man, thoughts on this one?
It's ugly. It's basically built around the fact that no one's broken the Warlord's full Nelson. So we kind of know where we're going. The full Nelson is not an exciting move to watch be applied. Like you said, the match is 8 minutes. I think he might have the full Nelson on for about 2.5 minutes in this match, which is quite merciful, really, because it's just not very good. The crowd are into it. The crowd seem quite excited, to be honest. The most classy bit is the end when Winston gets in the ring.
There's a couple of bits in this. So I actually quite enjoyed this match, but there's a couple of bits in it that did really stand out to me. There's one bit, not only is there about 2.5 minutes of full Nelson, but there's also about 1.5 minutes of a bear hug in it. There's a couple of nice bits of commentary in there. Heenan refers to the ref as Mr. Incompetence at one point, which I quite enjoyed. And when there's a bit where I think the Warlord's got Davey Boy Smith in chinlock, Gorilla Monsoon, Devin says, the fourth or fifth cervical vertebrae as well at one point in the back. But they do really sell the importance of Bulldog breaking the full Nelson, and they really sell the importance of the fact of getting the Warlord up for the power slam. So even though it's a bit of a nothing match and ultimately of no consequence, it still actually felt like it was quite a big deal at the end of it, and that was why I quite enjoyed it.
Yeah, I quite enjoyed this. I thought this was far better than I had any right to be, quite frankly. I thought it was really well done. I thought it was well told. I thought it was really smooth throughout. I've seen like a handful of Warlord matches on the various pay-per-views around this time. I think he's much better than I've ever people probably given credit for. Like, don't get me wrong, he's not like one of the absolute greats, but for a guy who probably just gets kind of dismissed at just the mere mention, I think he's far better than that. And I think this is a good match. And you're right, Tom. I think they really do sell the importance of A, Davey Boy Smith getting Warlord up, and B, him breaking the full Nelson. And I've got nothing but good things to say about this. Again, it's not going to make anyone's match of the year contender list, but it's for what I was expecting from Davey Boy Smith and the Warlord. And by the way, they wrestle each other pretty much over and over again the entire rest of this year. So there are plenty of worse matches than this one. This is actually pretty good.
I've got some exciting Warlord trivia. Going to take you back to August 2012. A wrestling organization called Shikara announced that the Warlord's going to be making his debut for their promotion in a King of Trios tournament which 3-on-3, 6-person tag match.
I think I should mention at this point that I'm a big fan of Chikara, old man.
Well, hey, I'm not bloody surprised when I get into what I'm going to talk about. So he reunites with Barbarian and May as the Faces of Pain.
No, that's brilliant. They were the Faces of Fear and the Powers of Pain. So they're the Faces of Pain. That makes perfect sense.
So, unfortunately, September the 14th, the team were eliminated by Team Ring of Honor, who are Mike Bennett and Matt and Nick Jackson.
Young Bucks.
Who I believe are the younger brothers of Michael and Tito and all those. I'm pretty sure. 2 days later, final day of the tournament. Meng's not available, I'm afraid. So the Powers of Pain are reunited in a tag team gauntlet match. Unfortunately, they're eliminated by their old WWF rivals, Demolition, who were then eliminated themselves by the 1-2-3 Kid and Marty Jannetty.
Oh my God, this is phenomenal.
I'm telling you, you've got to watch Chikara. It's brilliant.
I'll be honest, I ain't watching anything of 2012 Demolition. Like, there's that picture, which admittedly isn't from 2012, but of Demolition back in. One of them's got a bloody walking stick, and it's like, come on. And they eliminated the Powers of Pain.
Well, one of them probably had a walking stick as well, I should imagine as well.
Well, Mr. Fuji always used to.
Yeah, it doesn't say whether Fuji's there.
Well, lovely old stuff. I should mention at this point, though, that Chikara closed down in mid-2020, as a consequence of some allegations that came out. As part of the speaking out movement, apparently there were some issues with a number of trainers who worked for Chikara, and that Mike Quackenbush, who was the owner and operator of Chikara, ignored some of the issues, and potentially there were some issues there. So anyway, Quackenbush has closed Chikara now, but forgetting all that, outside of all the stuff that went on backstage, the shows were, for me, exceptional. I'm a big fan of Chikara.